For over a century, a tradition of intercollegiate athletic excellence has been strong in central Nebraska. This is an inside look at that tradition. This is the University of Nebraska-Kearney Loper Review. Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef, from our family to yours.
Hello and welcome to this month's edition of Loper Review. I'm Randy Bushcutter. This month, we're in the lower level of the UNK Health and Sports Center. Specifically, we're in the Don Briggs Gallery, and we'll be talking more about the long-term sports information director here at UNK and the passing of Mr. Briggs at the end of our show. You only took a lot of pictures of a lot of teams, including the UNK wrestling team or the Kearney State wrestling team. Well, this time he has some national champions that he would have been very proud of. Back-to-back national champions for the Lopers. We'll take a look at that team and their success this entire season. Also in this month's show, our Senior Spotlight features the only senior on the softball team this season. We'll go from a senior to a freshman who's on the roster of 2 Loper teams. And finally, Professor Kelsey's latest lecture in MIAA 101 features our last stop in Kansas and a trip to the Missouri Ozarks. It's all coming up on this edition of Loper Review.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
This is Loper Review, brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
Welcome back here to the Briggs Gallery and Loper Review. You know, no question about it, the most successful era of UNK wrestling has been in the last few years. After winning the title back in 2008, they started this season as the defending national champions. Well, after falling out of the top 10 briefly, they started the year #1, but they fell out briefly because they were a little short-staffed, because of some transfer issues, and also because of some injuries. But they certainly finished the season strong, defending that national champion and winning 2 in a row.
Leading up to the national championships, we really didn't know what to expect, but we tried to kind of keep everything low-key, relaxed, and the guys did a phenomenal job staying focused. Obviously an up and down year, you know, kind of in and out of the rankings, and you know, I know that really doesn't mean a whole lot, but at the same token, it was a challenge this year. We were dealing with quite a few injuries. We were very fortunate at semester time to pick up a couple transfers that stepped in and filled some of those holes for us.
Well, I think it shows a lot about our heart, shows a lot about our team, because it's hard to be like the defending national champions, because everybody's gunning for you, and I experienced that this year because everybody wants to put their best foot forward when they wrestle the national champions, you know.
We finished second in the nation 3 times prior to winning a national championship. We'd won a couple dual championships, but it just kind of wasn't the same thing. In fact, the second national dual championship we won, our team didn't even want to buy rings because they just knew that it just wasn't what we wanted. We've always had high expectations. Our goals are high. Every one of our kids in our program, not only do they want to be individual national champions, they also want to be on a national championship team, and that's not something that is easy to do. For us to repeat this year, quite honestly, I didn't foresee it happening. I knew we had a talented group of young men, and if we worked hard and things went right, it would work out.
Well, both of them like special in their own way. Like I cherish both of them, and I'm just happy like that I had the opportunity to compete and had the opportunity to train with these guys, and we had very special teams both years, and I'm just happy.
To win a national championship, to win 3 national championships here, it's obviously something that our hard work and the dedication from all the guys in the team, to all of our coaching staff, to everybody here in our community that supports us, obviously is paying off. And that hard work is helped us get where we are. We are not about to change what we're doing. It's working. We're proud of the young men that are part of our Loper wrestling family, and even our alumni continue to call us and email us, and they want to support us in any way they possibly can. So it's always been a dream to get that, but we knew it was going to take a lot of hard work.
I'm very proud of every one of these guys, the entire team, our coaching staff, Roy, our trainer. I tell you what, we couldn't do this without each other.
We certainly want to extend our congratulations to Coach Bauer, all the wrestlers and the coaching staff for their success, winning back-to-back national championships for UNK in wrestling. Congratulations. It's time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll shine our senior spotlight on the only senior still standing on the UNK softball team. Her story's coming up next here on Loper Review.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
This is Loper Review, brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
Welcome back to Loper Review. Time now to shine our senior spotlight on one of the UNK seniors. Here we are joined by Becky Dunn, a senior on the UNK softball team. And Becky, you're the only senior on the squad this year. How many were in your class when you started as a freshman?
We started with 3 other girls.
They decided to get out of it. Why did you decide to stick with it?
I really love the game. I love the girls. I love just the passion that I had was still going, and I wanted to get through my years and be able to play as much as I can.
That hasn't been easy because you've been involved in a lot of injuries. Talk a little bit about the injuries, what you had to overcome to still be playing softball for UNK.
Well, my freshman year, it was like an 11-inning game, and I felt a pop in my shoulder, and kind of after the end of the year, we looked at it and figured out that I tore a little piece in the front part of my shoulder, and then so I got that fixed. Then after my junior year, same kind of pain, and after getting through my whole junior year, I ended up going to the doctor and found another tear in my rotator cuff, and they scoped it and they took a little piece of my clavicle bone, and now hopefully I'm good to go for right now.
As a pitcher, I mean, that's a lot of repetition, doing the same motion time and time again. Concerns that maybe you're not back fully, and how much extra healing did you have to do, knowing how many times you were going to use the same shoulder? I
had to stick with my physical therapy. I kind of tried to push through it as much as I can, and then I showed up ready to go in the start of January. We took a little break in the fall, and then I showed up throwing as hard as I can, and just kind of have progressed from there.
Has that changed how you pitch?
A little. Some of the movement has changed, that I just don't quite have as much movement, but it just makes me have to work harder.
Only senior on the team, we've mentioned that before. What are some good things about being the only senior?
I've really had to connect with the younger girls, so I've gotten to be really good friends with some of the juniors, and I'm going to miss them next year like crazy. But it's kind of fun to have everyone look up to you and know that that's your role and stuff, so it's just kind of fun being the only one.
Is there a downside to being the only senior?
Everyone does look up to you, so you have to be a leader, you have to be a role model, you have to be ready to go at every game and be able to step up and show the girls how to do it.
With all the pressure, being a senior and all the injuries and all that stuff, ever have that moment where you gave serious consideration to hanging up the cleats? After
probably my second surgery, I kind of thought about it, like, is it worth one more year? Can I push through it? And I knew I couldn't just give up. I had to go out on my own time, and I needed to finish the 4 years and see what I can do after this second surgery.
Would you look at that if you would have left as leaving it unfinished?
Yes, very much. I couldn't just, even if I quit at a end of the year rather than like a middle of it, I couldn't just say I played 3 years of college softball. I needed to get as much out of softball as I could.
One of the good reasons to stick around as a pitcher is to throw a no-hitter.
Yeah.
Congratulations on doing that earlier this year. Talk a little bit about that game and the experience of doing that.
I had no idea that I was doing it until the end of the game, and my coach came up to me and told me that I threw the no-hitter, and we had great defense. The girls obviously on the other team couldn't touch me. There was a couple walks, but other than that, I was just in a zone, and it worked well in my favor.
What was your go-to pitch that game, and is that usually your go-to pitch?
I like to work in and out, so I threw some drop curveballs, and then I would throw a screwball inside.
Did you just really feel like I really control that?
Yeah, I really did. They had good movement. If they swung at all, it was a swing and a miss, and my cards played right, I guess.
You get to put your stamp on the history of the program a little bit by doing that. Does that mean something special to you?
Yeah, I know that my name's going to go down in the record books until it happens again, and I'll know that I'll always have a spot in the UNK history.
Did the no-hitter kind of make up for all the challenges and all the struggles and all the obstacles in your way to play? Did that no-hitter, was that a sense of almost relief?
Yeah, it really was. I was worried about this year a little bit, not only being the only senior, but having the struggles of the surgeries. I didn't know how I was going to perform, didn't know how this second one was going to affect my pitching, and knowing that even if I am just average the rest of the year, I know that I started off, I was able to throw a no-hitter like I used to, and I know that I can do it, so therefore the rest of the year, hopefully I can keep playing the way I have been.
Soon, you're going to be required to hang up the cleats in terms of playing collegiately. What does the future hold for you?
I am elementary education and early childhood unified, and I'm also getting a minor in coaching. So hoping to, once I get done student teaching, find a job and be able to be a softball coach at a high school, or I don't know if I'm going to be back in Omaha, around my hometown, or I don't know where I'm going to go.
Do you want to have an emphasis as a coach on pitching, or do you want to do the whole shebang?
I would like to do the whole thing. If there's an opportunity to just be a pitching coach, I would take it. I want to stay involved with the sport as much as I can.
Becky, appreciate the time. Best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
When we come back, we'll turn our attention from a senior to a freshman here at UNK who is trying her hand at 2 different sports for the Lopers. We'll do that when we come back right after this.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores, through the modern era, to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
This is Loper Review, brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
Welcome back here to Loper Review. You know, being a two-sport athlete is not that unusual here at UNK. That's one of the advantages of being in the NCAA Division II. It's also not that unusual to be good in two sports. What is unusual is when you're excellent at two sports and you're only a freshman. Well, that is the story of MJ Massenet, who's really developed into quite a star right here at UNK.
Yes, I actually have wanted to do track and volleyball ever since I started trying to make my decision. And so when I came here and Coach Squires said that it'd be okay to do both track and volleyball, I took advantage of that.
MJ made her presence known by becoming a starter on the UNK volleyball team, also hitting a provisional mark to qualify for the national tournament in the shot put.
You know, it's difficult to mesh with a group that's been, you know, working together for 3 months in September, and then MJ comes the first weekend in December, and so that was something that she picked up right away, is her outgoing personality and her ability to mesh with the team right away, and then her, you know, her God-given talent. She's an athletic girl and she's got a lot of explosions.
In MJ's case, at the time we were talking to her, we weren't aware that she was going to be, you know, a freshman starter and a key contributor right away. So, you know, we thought maybe there'd be a little bit more of a transition phase in volleyball. But as it's turned out, she's a significant contributor in both sports, so that's a lot to handle for a freshman.
I've always been in sports. Like, I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and so coming here and doing 2 sports, I think the main challenge would be school, and you just have to really keep up with that, and it takes some time to get used to.
Well, obviously there's a time commitment from both sports, and you know, with either one, the intensity level is just going to be higher, the expectations are going to be higher. Travel, things like that, when you get to the college level, are more extensive. So, you know, it's one of the combination dual sport situations that can work.
Early on, it was pretty easy to hit the ground running, but right now we're starting to get a little broken down with her competing in volleyball, doing her off-season conditioning and workouts and stuff like that, and then coming to track practice and then lifting also. She's got a full schedule. We're looking into, you know, backing off a little bit, giving her some days off, so that way she can have the best college experience possible.
Typically during a volleyball player's freshman year, the spring is critical for them because they didn't get a lot of court time in the fall, and all they probably did was practice. But in MJ's case, she played in, I believe, every match we had this year, so that's 38 matches. And so, yeah, I think you're right. The spring is not quite as big a deal for her. She's got a lot of experience already.
MJ may have only double duty for one more season. A track redshirt her junior year would give her 2 full seasons of track without any volleyball commitment.
We'll see how she's going in schooling, you know, whether she's on a 4-year plan or a 5-year plan. But that's something we've discussed. You know, after her 4th year of eligibility and volleyball is up, then volleyball will be over. She'll be able to focus on track only. So that junior year would potentially be a year that we go ahead and redshirt, but we haven't gotten too far ahead of ourselves. But if we were to do a year, that would probably be the year. That way she could have 2 years of track without volleyball.
Well, we certainly think that MJ has a bright future here at UNK. Right now, it's time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll learn more about 2 of UNK's rivals in the MIAA with MIAA 101. We'll sit down with Professor Kelsey right after this.
Loper Review is brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.
This is Loper Review, brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
Welcome back. This month on MIAA 101, Professor Kelsey finishes out her Kansas part of the syllabus, taking a look at the last Kansas school that we have to talk about, and then we'll head to the Ozarks.
Welcome to another edition of MIAA 101. So far, a few of the schools that we looked at have been victims of major catastrophes, such as tornadoes or fires. But Southwest Baptist University in Bolivar, Missouri may be the only one to have been hit by a major fire, twice. The first fire occurred in 1910, about 30 years after the school was founded, and wiped out the entire campus, which consisted of one building. Some accounts of the incident suggest that arson may have been to blame, but that suspicion was never proven. The school suspended operations for 3 years before reopening as Southwest Baptist College in 1913, a junior college with 4 buildings. One of those buildings went up in flames 50 years later. Southwest Baptist became a 4-year institution in the mid-1960s and in 1981 changed the name to Southwest Baptist University. And while the school is definitely an institution of the Baptist Church, there is one interesting exception. In 1995, the traditionally Catholic St. John's School of Nursing became affiliated with the university. And just this past year, the name was changed to the Mercy College of Nursing and Health Sciences. Athletically, the school shares the nickname Bearcats with Northwest Missouri, but their history in sports is not as illustrious as the other Bearcats. One of their claims to fame is being the NAIA Men's Tennis Co-National Champions in 1984. When this edition of Loper Review was prepared, the Bearcats were leading the MIAA standings for both men's and women's tennis, with the women's team undefeated so far. Our geography lesson for Southwest gives you 2 options, but both begin by making it to Kansas City and taking I-49 south out of town. Then you can take option 1, which is to get off the interstate south of Harrisonville and take Highway 7 to Clinton. From there, you take Highway 13 to Bolivar. Option number 2 is slightly less complicated, but is 20 miles longer, according to the people at Google Maps. Stay on I-49 all the way to Nevada, and it is pronounced Nevada, Missouri. Then take Highway 54 east to Highway 13, and then south to Bolivar. Next on MIAA 101, we go from a school that shares its mascot with another team in the conference to a school that shares its mascot with no one in the entire United States, as we visit the Gorillas of Pittsburgh State. We weren't able to find out just why the gorilla was chosen, just that the idea began in the early 20s and was eventually made official in 1925, or about 20 years after the school was founded. The original name for the school would barely fit on a diploma. It was the Auxiliary Manual Training Normal School, and it was a branch of what is now Emporia State. 10 years later, it became the Kansas State Teachers College at Pittsburgh. Then Teachers was dropped from the name in 1959, and finally the school was named Pittsburgh State in 1977. One of the most unique aspects of life at Pitt State is Apple Day, a tradition almost as old as the school itself. The origin of Apple Day is a somewhat lengthy story, but suffice to say it began when a minor rule was broken by the school, when it asked the legislature for money to erect a new building. The fine for the infraction was to be a barrel of apples. One thing led to another, and now Apple Day is still observed 100 years later. And if Pittsburgh State is the home of the Gorillas, then football is definitely King Kong. Pitt State has won more football games than any other NCAA Division II school, including 4 national championships and 3 runner-up finishes. They have won 13 of the last 19 MIAA titles. Getting to Pittsburgh, Kansas is relatively simple. Just head for Kansas City, swing around the west side of town to Overland Park, then just follow Highway 69 straight south. And we do mean straight. And by the way, just as UNK has Louis the Loper, Pittsburgh State's gorilla is named Gus. Thanks for attending this session of MIAA 101. Hope to see you again next time.
Thanks, Professor, and we certainly are looking forward to our next edition of MIAA 101. Well, as we mentioned at the beginning of our show, we're down here at the lower level of the UNK Health and Sports Center in the Don Briggs Gallery. These are just some of the pictures that Mr. Briggs took as Sports Information Director here at UNK over the last 50 years, helping create the history of UNK and Kearney State athletics. Mr. B, as he was known, passed away in early March. Over the years, he was very much more than just a Sports Information Director, handling numerous positions on campus and being a very devoted member of the Kearney State and UNK family. Even after his official retirement in 1991, Mr. Briggs can be seen contributing all around campus. And if it can be said of anyone that they truly would bleed blue, it was Mr. B. It is on his behalf that we get to finish our show by saying, go Lopers!
Loper Review has been brought to you by Nebraska Star Beef.
The Nebraska Star Beef Pure Promise. No antibiotics, no hormones, humane treatment of animals, USDA choice or higher, a price that is always fair, and satisfaction guaranteed. At Nebraska Star Beef, we pay close attention to what we feed our families and are passionate about delivering beef that you can feel good about serving to your family. Visit us at nebraskastarbeef.com for more information.
Programming is made possible in part by the Museum of Nebraska Art in Kearney. From the artist explores through the modern era to the art of today, Mona tells the story of Nebraska through the art of Nebraska. Whether you're online at mona.unk.edu or on our doorstep, there's always something new to see and do.